I'm joined by federal NDP leader Jagmeet Singh right now. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for joining us.
Happy to be here.
So earlier today you talked about the rising cost of owning a home. Your proposed solution is increasing mortgage amortization and building more affordable housing. Now, how do you plan to implement that when there is a massive shortage of skilled construction workers, particularly right here in Windsor-Essex?
So that is a challenge, but we still need to find ways to build more homes. We need to build a lot more, and we need to build them really quickly because there's such a shortage of homes. So we need to build more. And when it comes to mortgage relief, we need to look at more aggressive measures. So there's some measures being proposed in Spain and Portugal. Spain is forcing the banks to lower the interest rates for families that are feeling really squeezed. Portugal is providing a subsidy for some families so they don't lose their homes. We know that in Canada, people are really pressured or feeling a lot of pressure because if you just signed a mortgage in the past couple of years and have a 25-year mortgage that's variable, you're looking at maybe more than $1,700 of increase in your mortgage payments per month. I can't imagine how families are doing that with the cost of groceries and other bills so high already.
Yeah, definitely frustrating. But when it comes to the lack of workers, how are we going to address that?
So we met with a construction union just the other day in Hamilton, and what they're proposing is there's ways for us to recruit construction workers directly through some of the unions, and they can connect them with workplaces. Right now, what we rely on is a temporary foreign worker program that recruits workers directly through the employer. But for a lot of projects, if they bid on a project, there's not really guaranteed hours. It's not so consistent. But going through the union might be a quicker way for us to bring in skilled workers, make sure they've got the right training, and ensure that they've got enough hours and are not being exploited because they're working with one sole employer, but are affiliated with a union so they can actually work in multiple sites. And that's one way for us to be able to address their concerns.
Okay, let's talk about unions. I know that you met with the Windsor and District Labor Council this afternoon. Now, Windsor, Salt, and both union representatives are currently in Toronto for an arbitration right now. You've shown support for these striking workers, and I know that you are looking to ban the practice of replacement workers by the end of the year.
That's right. We know that it's a really difficult choice for workers to go on strike. It's something that no one wants to do. And when they do it, it's because they're fighting for wages that help them pay the bills, pay for groceries, keep the roof over their head, pay their rent. And we know that rent is up and more grocery prices are up, mortgages are up. So people who are asking for wages that keep up with those bills is really reasonable. And what undermines the work of someone that's striking or the hard decision to strike is when the employer brings in a replacement worker that replaces the labor of that worker and really undermines their ability to demand a fair wage. That's something that we've got to ban. And so in our agreement, it's one of the pieces that we fought for that has to be done by the end of the year, a national, federal level ban on replacement workers that would end that practice, which really would lift up workers, give them more power.
And hopefully that arbitration is going well right now.
Yes, good point.
But also after an intense 54 days of uncertainty, a generational deal was reached between, as you know, the governments and Stellantis, LG. Now, many are praising the investment, especially here in Windsor-Essex, but I understand you still have some concerns.
Well, I'm very happy about the deal. I grew up in Windsor. I know how important the automotive sector here is for the region and the jobs that it's created. This is an anchor project, so it's going to be able to create not just the jobs at the factory, but a lot of the supply chain jobs will be secured because of it. But what I'm concerned about is I want to make sure that if we're making this big investment, which I think is the right thing to do, I also want to see guarantees that jobs will stay in the region for the long term and they'll be good paying jobs. That's something I want to see. Guarantees have to be there if we make these investments that the company's going to stick around for the long term and have good jobs that are good paying.
Okay, Jagmeet Singh, federal NDP leader, thank you again for joining us tonight.
Thanks so much.